not know who I am? My intro's so long. Okay, great. So welcome to the 2025 Vision and Business Planning Recap. So this is more targeted toward teams and admins, but applicable to really anybody. If you're starting a business, if you already have a business, if you're thinking about hiring an admin, this will give you a really good perspective on what us admins are dealing with and how we communicate with our rainmakers. So this is a recap because I am summarizing a call that has already happened. So there is the operations community, which anyone can be a part of, but it costs money. If you would like to be part of these free info sessions, please let me know and I will send you a calendar. Like, you don't even have to do anything. I'll just make sure that you get those things. In these free info sessions run by the operations community, it is very high level. It's heavy stuff. So sometimes when you're listening to these amazing people speak who have multi-million-dollar teams, you're like, how in the world am I even supposed to get this to be a reality? So you come here and we talk about it and we make it a reality. So who has started vision planning for 2025? Nice. I figured Mary had her vision planning done. I have the vision planning done, yeah. Oh, interesting. Not the business planning yet. Does anyone have no idea where to start? Okay, cool. And who has no idea what vision planning is? Okay, great. So today you'll learn how to initiate these conversations with your teams through scripts and other resources. You'll learn a little bit more of what vision planning is if you don't know, why it's important, and the benefit of leveraging yourself as an admin on your team. So whether for transaction coordinators, administrative assistants, executive assistants, operations managers, whatever, if we come to our rainmakers, our boss, fully fledged out plan about how we're going to make them more money for 2025, I bet you will make more money in 2025. Yeah. Come up with a plan. We're going to talk about that and it's the whole thing. So we're really going to learn how to clearly define our goals. And I know I've had a really hard time with this in the past. I did not even believe in this a while back. And it was because I didn't have rainmakers who supported me in this. Now that I have rainmakers who support me business planning as an operations person, things are a lot easier. So basically, a good rule of thumb is that you should have your business plan already done by January 1st, 2025. We'll talk about why. Start planning in September. That's my suggestion. So Mary mentioned before that she's business planning a little bit different than I am. And she is having her meeting with all of her people in November or October. Yeah, October. Mine is going to start happening in September. It's a very loose schedule. But if you don't have any vision planning, business planning, anything scheduled, start with scheduling your first meeting in September. So we want to schedule business planning near the last quarter. So that's why I suggest September because I'm crazy and I like to start things super early. But October is good because we have all the data from all the sales, all the expenses from a slow season and from a hot season. So we know where we're going into the end of 2024 and where we're going to start in 2025. So like I said, for you admins, we're going to learn some conversations, some script practicing so that it can ease conversations with our rainmakers so we can business plan. Shall we? Yes, we're going to talk so much about okay. So just like how our team leaders and our agents have scripts and conversations to inquire more about somebody's home buying or selling process. Like if somebody says, hey, I want to buy a house, you don't just go, okay, you say, well, what's your timeline? What's your price range? Things like that. There are questions that we can ask our rainmakers who may be on the flightier side to get them to kind of start thinking about this, and we can pull answers from them in a little bit more of a cryptic way, I guess you could say, in a way that's easy for them and makes sense for us. Okay. So like I said, this is for everyone. I want to teach admins in this market center how to leverage themselves, and business planning is one of them. Again, imagine as a TC, you go to your rainmaker at the end of the year, and you say, here's my plan for 2025 to bring in more recruiting from agents on the other side of the deal, to bring in more referrals and past clients. They would be so impressed by you. So I'm going to start going into the recap of the lesson. And real quick, for those of you who don't know, the info session is shown in comparisons. They show you what not to do and what to do versus oops and ops. So pretty lots. So our first operations oops when it comes to business planning is a lack of clarity. So first of all, clarity takes time. This is why we're talking about scheduling a meeting in September or October versus doing it in 2025. You will not have your entire year planned out in one meeting. My rainmakers and I are having this conversation every single week, whether they like it or not. The next meeting, like I said, that you should schedule should be this one with your business owners, or if you're a TC or an administrative assistant with your operations manager, whoever's your next person up. I cannot emphasize the second point because I have this fight like once a week. Clarity comes by reducing, not adding. So a lot of the times our teams think that recruiting agents to a team solves the problem of agents not closing deals. Or they think that spending more money on marketing will lead to more lead generation. They think that there's something missing from their business that it's missing from the equation that is not adding up to a successful business. But that's not usually the case. It's usually because we are doing too much or spending too much. And instead of recruiting to offset lazy agents, put performance improvement plans in place with them to find a common goal. So that's sort of breaking things down versus adding more to keep track. We want to look at our past year, our current year, what we've previously done. And there's usually, I would say in most people's businesses, there's much more to take away than there is to add. Last part, vision/goal setting versus creating an economic perspective. During this initial call, they really emphasize not just creating a GPS or a year for 2025 based on the money that you need to make. If you want to disclose, 100 deals, that's fine. But as far as being a business owner or someone who's actually contributing to like a culture of, happiness and retention, things like that, we're talking when we actually have teams and people that work for us, work with us. We want to look at a bigger scale. So they suggest leads, listings, leverage for your three main focuses. We've talked about a GPS previously. If anybody doesn't know what that is, I can hand you one. My team's three priorities that we base all of our other things on are primarily culture and accountability, leads, and operations slash leverage. So when you look at a GPS, there's like an overall yearly goal, and then there's three main priorities, and you stick to those. Mine are culture and accountability, leads, and operations slash leverage. Okay. Also, don't hesitate to ask questions while I'm going. We did start like a little late, so let's run through this. Your operations ops. So the opposite of lack of clarity would be that leadership is unified around a vision. So the leadership team has a defined goal. You're going to sit down and you're going to figure that out before 2025. When our goals are too big, we're all marching in different directions and we don't know what we're doing. Every single part of your GPS should be talking to each other. Every single business strategy, every single department should be communicating and working together so that there's no gaps in the money list. Business owners can underestimate where they can be in 5 years and overestimate where they can be in a year. So really what that means is agents and admins think that they can slack a goal and it'll just work out by itself. That's not true. If you say, I want to recruit 10 agents to my team, and then you never, rely on KW and Power to start recruiting to your team, if you do not reach out to co-op agents at the end of the deal and say, it was great working with you, were you thinking about working with me in the long term? Then you're not going to recruit anything. So we can't just slack a goal on things and then not, work toward it. So when we slack a goal on something next year and we actually work toward it, we can usually exceed that goal. So my team had a goal of recruiting 12 agents, and we are way past that at this point. It is not the end of this year. So there's that. We want to have this plan in place by the first quarter so that we don't miss any wins in the first quarter. If you are catching up on things that should have been in your budget, things that weren't paid out, people that you should have hired, you're going to be focusing on that versus focusing on preparing for the spring season, and then you start missing opportunities all year round, and that's not fun. So I'm a little bit on this last one. One team equals one goal. They suggest that everybody on your leadership team, let's say for my team, it would be my 2 rainmakers, myself, and my transaction coordinator. We would have one GPS, one overall goal. However, that's not how my team works. As the main operations person, I work with like my rainmaker, who's more of a COO, and that we kind of divvy up and relay information. So that's how it works for my team. But it would be ideal if you're starting a team or have a smaller team that you all just operate together, march to the beat of one drum and not a bunch. So I'm just going to give you a couple examples of visions. So my vision for my team incorporates stats and incorporates how we want our team to behave, like a cultural aspect. So I don't remember it exactly, but roughly it's something like how we are going to uphold our best practices and accountability to serve like 300 families in a year. So some examples could be, we as licensed real estate agents of ABC Real Estate team of KW Empower vow to honor the guidelines and laws of Pennsylvania real estate to best serve our community. So that could be like a vision for your overall business. It could also be something like helping families buy houses and also, you have a team that volunteers once a quarter. This is how you want your vision to be for your life. This is how you want your vision to be for your business. Maybe you want a team that's more centralized, having fun and going on vacation, or maybe you want a rainmaker whose vision is eventually to just go back to sales and not necessarily do anything in operations. Operations hoops. Vision being not integrated into daily and weekly rhythms. So this is pretty self-explanatory. If you are, again, setting a goal and not doing anything in your day-to-day business to contribute to that goal, you're not going to accomplish it. Pretty much all that needs to be said. Daily rhythms need to feed into weekly, which feeds monthly, which feed into yearly, and then you have your whole life planned out and everything's amazing. So my previous master coach, Nicole Zuber, who runs this operations community, says push the needle forward. So we're literally just moving it inch by inch, every meeting, every single day. I've talked to people before about this in this class. My rainmaker and I meet once a week. We have 3 tasks set for our vision planning, our business planning. And because we are able to accomplish that, and it's just at a very small scale every single week, we accomplish some really big goals as far as hiring and recruiting and making more money. Okay. So I'll let everyone from there. Probably me. So operations ops. So oops, vision meeting not integrated into daily and weekly rhythms. Ops, vision, rollout, plan in advance. So I put a smiley face here. No excuses. If I was a person with a million excuses on my old team and even on my current team, and one of my excuses was my rainmaker doesn't want to do this, I don't care. And you shouldn't care either. We need to business plan. We need to get it done. I'm going to give you some things that you can talk to them and kind of have that conversation. It doesn't need to be a tough conversation, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. So, don't sit your rainmaker down and say, what's your vision? They're going 400 miles per hour. They're trying to make the next deal. They don't care about operations a lot of the time. Maybe not you, because you seem more organized. But a lot of other people that I know, like every other rainmaker that I know, need to be relevant. Sometimes, right? So, as an admin, when you go to your next higher up, here's some things that you can ask. First, you can use the gap analysis, which is a fancy way of saying, here's your problem, and here's the solution. Here's the gap, and here's how we're going to fill it. Here's the gap, and here's how we're going to address it in 2025. Pro tip, as an admin, it also helps communicate with your rainmaker when you have a problem. Have 3 solutions, or as many solutions as you can think of, but at least 3. You can say, here's the gap. Here are 3 solutions. The solution I recommend is X. Our agents are not producing. We need to either have more classes, start charging them, or have performance improvement plans in place. I suggest performance improvement plans, and then that's usually what they will do. Admins usually have things thought out in their minds before we even bring the conversation to the table. So when you bring a problem to the table and bring solutions, it puts somebody who's not focused on your job or any of the problems that you're dealing with. It helps it, find a solution and bring up a solution of the loop. Okay, operation oops. Static or stagnant vision. Static means lacking movement, action, or change, and stagnant is showing no activity, dull, and sluggish. So don't be afraid of change as goals change. New circumstances lead to new possibilities, and give yourself permission to evolve as needed. As we succeed and climb further up the mountain, we have a larger perspective on what's in front of us, right? It's the same thing here. As we close more deals, we may see, oh, we don't actually need a marketer right now. I need another transaction coordinator. And it's okay that maybe the goal that you set at the beginning of this year doesn't necessarily match where you are in March, And so there's things that we can set, or we can stay consistent with our core values when we talk about it, to contribute to our vision. So it's getting a little bit heady up here, but we'll get there. If you have a static or stagnant vision, if you do not have core values in place and refer to those core values and really honor those, it will kill retention of both staff and agents. So your admins will leave, your agents will leave, and that's because we just don't have a unified vision. We're not all going toward the same goal. I've seen it happen time and time again where an admin may want growth, but an agent's kind of really comfortable where they are. And we don't have that conversation all the time. And so then, tensions can rise and people leave. So just keep that in mind. So as we run into different markets, which shouldn't dictate our business, we have to ask ourselves, how can we recast our vision of where we can go with the information we have today? And it's always okay to do that. So an ops would be to stay consistent with your values. So we have the overall vision, which can change. Your values don't change. I hope I'm keeping everybody here. So changing markets don't change our values. There are some examples of values: honesty, thoroughness, accountability, reliability, awareness, innovation, creativity. These are values. And again, our vision may change based on how many families we can serve or based on people's schedules, things like that. So when you're vision planning, you also want to ask, what are our values? How do we see those expressed in the current environment of the team? How do we implement to achieve goals? What does this mean for our vision? So although the Summers team vision is, we uphold best practices so that we can serve our community and close 300 families, our core values are accountability and honesty and integrity, things like that. Okay. Some keywords: consistency, plan, execute. That was much of the presentation. All right, so some resources that help kind of start this conversation: the SWOT analysis. So I'll show you some of those questions in the next slide. It stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You can also use a GPS or 12-lead here and a 411. These are all in, you scan this QR code and go to kwpower.com/dashboard. There's an operations resources folder where everything we talk about gets entered into there. So there's, what's it called? There's, if you're trying to hire somebody, there's job description templates and business planning things, all that fun stuff, 30/60/90. So here's the SWOT analysis. So here's some examples. So our strengths, we have some questions. What do we do well? What do our customers say we do well? Strong capital, do our profit margins compare to industry benchmarks? Our opportunities, our target marketing growth or shifting in our favor? Are there upcoming events we should benefit from? Weaknesses, where can we improve? Are we lacking in staff skills or training? And then threats. Are there new competitors or expansion of existing competitors? Any new technology that can work against us? Zillow. So yeah, this is a SWOT analysis. What they recommend is if you have not started business planning at all with anybody on your team, give each of your team one of these things. Have them fill it out, come to a meeting, and look at all of your answers. See where everybody's priorities at. See where they are thinking about these things. And so when you give them this assignment before they come to that first business planning meeting, that means they've thought about it beforehand and we can actually have a more productive conversation. So that's it. Done. Any questions? Or Jerry told me, what was the script? Do you have any questions?
What questions do you have?
What questions do you have? Lily?
My question is, I'm on the team. But if you start out and your other teammate works like a little spot, what are certain things that you would say to the team to get them back up in producing like everybody wants to?
So I actually just this is a hurdle. I'm not gonna call it wrong. This is a hurdle that I actually run into all the time and my team is currently dealing with. And whether it's actual personal issues that are stunting somebody from doing something, or they just, they don't want to. Just one of those things.
They call it lazy, I guess.
Yeah, like, what to call it? They don't actually want to be real estate agents. So what I did was, with my team, because I have a lot of flexibility with them, I don't know what everybody's capabilities is, and this is going a little off topic. So we have a class once a month that's designated to a certain topic. It's usually around scrubbing your database or marketing or something to do with real estate. But last month I brought in a personal and professional development coach to talk to them about navigating life in general. and, just coping mechanisms and things like that. So if somebody's not producing, it's usually there's a reason. And what I was told by the MAPS coach, Nicole Zuber, is that you can't motivate someone, but you can motivate someone. You can help them find a reason why they will want to do your work. So I guess it's just like having that conversation. I've also, with recruiting, I'm now asking more people, like, what does your dream day look like? So honestly, we're not wasting our time with somebody who said that they wanted to be a real estate agent but doesn't like waking up until 12 p.m. and we have meetings at 9:30 in the morning. We don't know where they are. Or maybe they have a part-time job and they didn't tell us about it, stuff like that. So yeah, as far as helping other people, then that's literally what I do all the times. And it's, if you come up with any better ideas, you let me know, because I'm in the same exact boat. I would just start with just having a conversation with them and be like, do you really want to do this?
But that's not necessarily always one that team leader.
No.
So if they're leading a team, there's a lot of things there's orders that we've got that team. How do you just reach out without trying to be? I know I'm very private, so I would take it as you're not the one that's open book, you're real private. How do you like reach out and let them know that it's just
well, this is something that you've noticed, right? So you've noticed that these people have gone from doing sales or being more present to not being there at all. And so you can come, just like as someone who genuinely cares, be like, hey, I know that you're good at this, and I think that you could do really well here. And I know, like, can I help? I've seen that you haven't really been in this, lately. Like, is something going on? Like, I know to just like, let's get a coffee, let's get a drink, just form a relationship with them. And, I've also noticed that a lot of people just want to feel invited. And when they're not invited, they don't show up. And there are some real estate agents that exist that aren't just like, butterflies that float from place to place and talk to everybody. They're sometimes a little bit shy, and we just need to invite them into these spaces, and then they'll like have a friend and they'll come forward and start working. And then as a result, they'll start working. Another example is my team created a Slack channel called Who's at the Office, so that whenever anybody is in the office, we tell other people, and that usually results in other people showing up and sitting at their laptops for the first time activity because someone's there next to them being monitored. It's super fun little mind game relationships that you have to play with these things. But yeah, focus on the motive aid.
It's not always the thing about like without crossing them down every
I have a team of 35. My aides cross these boundaries with each other all the time. It's because they care. It's not because they feel like the team is suffering or anything like that. It's because at one point this person was around and smiling, and now we don't see them anywhere, and they formed a relationship with them before. It's kind of like your friend is sick from school a little bit. You're like, hey, okay. So I've done that with the agents on my team that I'm more personal with. And then if I'm not as personal with them, I actually ask one of my remakers to reach out because they might not be. So yeah. It's been a crazy couple months for my team. I don't know about like anybody else, but there's just been like crazy life stuff going on.
like if the also notice within our whole program, no one really shows up by being like our whole is very but it's like I'll say stuff, but like one time I felt like I didn't type of one or face to face. I'm like, hey, I know this whatever, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know what you want to do. Delete it out, and never sent it up. But I was like, maybe I should have just said, hey, I haven't seen y'all in the office, whatever.
Literally, if you invite people, they'll show up. There's people in this room that I've looked in the eyes today and be like, are you coming to my mastermind? And then they're sitting here because you do that. So that's the solution that I found, and I've been telling ALC the same thing. So I'm on ALC and all that stuff. You want to increase attendance, you need to start making it personal. And like reaching out to people and saying, hey, there's this thing coming up and I think this would be really valuable for you. Or like, hey, there's this thing coming up and I don't want to sit by myself. Could you sit with me? That's what I say. I'm like, I'm going to the brokerage meeting and I don't want to be by myself. And like one of my 35 agents show up. So yeah. What is it? Anyone else have any questions? Here. Anything? All right, no?
Cooperation. Yeah, no, I've already scanned the QR code and I figured it from the dashboard rocks.
Whatever, like, you know, I keep it updated.
Yeah.
I try. If anybody ever has, and this is workshop style, so basically, long story short, I'll disclose, I'm required to do this recap for like the rules that I'm in, like, so last month I came in here and I talked about what I wanted to talk about, and they were like, you can't do that. And I was like, but I'm smart, like, I know there's not, I think people want to know about GPSs, and they wanted me to teach about AI, and like, nobody wants to hear about that crap anymore, it's such a big, like, so, yeah, so I have to teach this stuff, but you know, once we get through it, we can talk about anything. I've had people, you know, ask me about team stuff or marketing or literally anything when it comes to not doing sales. Please,
I do especially from towards various perspective, after one of these about maybe from the supportive role or administrative role, being able to read the type of team leader that we have. Because I know we as a leader and working alongside other leaders that we all have very different styles. Yeah, and like what's acceptable to me would be like not welcome or even like one another team.
yeah,
And vice versa, right? So, you know, I think like you said something about this doesn't have to be a hard conversation, it's just a conversation that we have so that we both are on the same plan. But unfortunately, Alexandra is a week for too long, so we have had all the types of conversations, right? And she knows, so she knows that if somebody else, people go to her now, because they already know they're gonna get a big one. So it's like way opposite disciplinarian and you know, dad is walking or what have you. But I'm like, oh, yeah.
button up the white, button up in the jeans.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're like, so that's great in Alice's like, so so-and-so just called me, but I really, you know, I told them that I could, I should like, they were trying to call you, blah, 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 like, well, don't let me, but I, the end all be all, and you go to some crazy number of those. So I'm like, that's what I said.
I'm like, I'm not licensed. That's what I say. I'm like, you shouldn't even be talking to me about this.
I have like, and I'm like, so, yeah.
Million raging.
But like, the different level, like, you know, if you have to learn people read a little bit and understand it, if not, and you are going to have very upfront, like, have a checklist, like, this, okay, don't assume too much, right? Or, and if you go from one team leader to another, maybe you change positions or teams, the world rate, what have you. You know, don't assume that whatever you go before is going to be okay now. Like, for example, don't be fine, not control freak in like very specific areas, right? And there's other things where I'm like, Alex, for the love of God, please take care of that. Don't ask me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's things I 100% trust her to take care of, and I need her to because I gotta go that other things and learn around us, right? And also, though, I'm also a team leader that's not having in personal production. So I do think more about operation stuff, growth stuff. But some team leaders, it's really just them and our admin, one of the VAs and operations, because they have an hundred agents, and so they are very heavy. We're two different team leaders, so one more support in other areas where they're not, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have 12 clients, I do want to on the other people, I want to keep so that they can deal with clients better. You don't want to talk to your clients, because the deal will one way or the other that, right? And I'm not going to care this way, so I'm writing, like, a paper sign, what is the contract say? You come to me, I'm going back to like, I don't care about everyone's emotion, let's set about what, you know, that you find that my teammates coming to me now, when they're at the point that they're so jammed up, they're like, this just needs to end, right? And so, it is like do that with Justice on my team. She was the buyer side, this happens, so they will be treated like this, so she's on the buyer side, and I explain my agent all the time. I don't care whose job it is your job to get our clients to the table. So if you have to get unlucky and do on the other side of the field and the other agent, the other coworker, the shit ass agent, if they're not doing their job, don't let me find out that something fell through or this deal is going through because you decided not to step up.
I would say this because I'm not licensed. To me, in my opinion, every agent represents both sides. At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, that's what the goal is.
Because that's what you got to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, so if we get in that place, they're coming to me and I'm like, well, why isn't this done? And you can say, well, the other agent didn't do
The other
it.
agent didn't sign a legislature. That's your disclosure.
Yeah, yeah, like, I don't care, you know what I mean, so, and because I'm not in personal promotion, I'm gonna take this on to do that, but your team leader might not, they might align.
Yeah, I have 2 team leaders. One is a lot like Tess, my operations one, and then there's my other one who is like the majority of the team leaders and rainmakers here. And if you are really good at sales, it probably indicates you're not good at the operations thing. It's possible to have crossover, but usually not. It does. And so a couple months ago, I don't know if anybody else was at the, there was like a rainmaker camp with Jim Roche, Marissa Brown, Robin Martin, Allison Simon, and I think maybe one other person, I can't exactly remember. Every single person on that panel talked about how their business changed. Oh, it was also Ryan Martin. No. Ryan Sales. They said that their business really started thriving, as Robin said, when you're just another bozo on the bus, when you're in sales, just another bozo on the bus, you let the operations person drive your bus, because focusing on sales and operations is not something most people can do. I can't do sales. I can do operations, I can't do sales. So yeah, that's. I believe this for my presentation, what I was gonna say. If any of your bosses, rainmakers, superiors don't know the value of business planning or don't want to have a conversation, I'm happy to have a conversation. So.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Because on the ops for Allison Simon, I run her business meeting. Her only question is, when are we having it? And what is the plan for next year?
Yeah.
She has no say in it.
One of my rainmakers tried to not have this conversation. I just kept putting it out through the head.
Yeah. We get up on the calendar and I'm like, hey, you're gonna show us this.
So we're
Like, these are gonna be here.
I don't know, it's already, but it had to be had, so I just kept putting it on the agenda. Yeah, kept talking about it, and we just did what I wanted at the end of the day, so it's fun. Does anybody have any other questions, any other thoughts? Because I'm in here next. That's a really good question. So, I don't even know when the next, usually I schedule it during the KW education thing, but that has not been scheduled. So, and then July, mine was scheduled, but then I missed it because I missed the education meeting, and then it's like, because I'm again required to do this every. Alright. So I'm just gonna put myself on the calendar now. It'll probably be the same day as the next meeting. That's what I try to do so that admins can come, because I know some people can't.
Do you, is it on Zoom too?
It is, yeah. It's the same Zoom like this every other training.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put this in.
Okay. No, I think these are good opportunities, you don't be able to turn it out. It is accurate one. Yeah. I think it's good, like, honestly, things that are cheap later, I'm like, yeah. So I go, now I understand what I'm about. You know what I mean? Like,
I wish more people, like more newer agents, so it's not wearing of this, more like newer agents and younger teams would come onto this, because there's so many things, like when I was on a smaller, younger team, that would be done so wrong.
well, even as a new agent, like, understanding that, I was trying to convey to the agents, like, hey, you're a business owner.
Yep.
And I think if they think that with something like this, it might go land on my wall and say, oh, yeah, I am doing this owner, I do this, all of this, because right now, I'm the person that needs to take care of all these things, and consider all these things. And so when they do this, we'll put their guidelines so they know they're fundamental in that, sorry. They're not completing the tasks necessary and falling off, that, they're like, oh, you know, sign a higher admin, and they can come through it, do a better job at hiring the first admin, knowing how to delegate certain tasks, and what they should consider to do versus what they should not.
I feel like a lot of agents hire an admin as a means of status and not actually what your business needs.
Oh, it's like, assistant.
And then you hire an assistant and then you don't really absorb the grasp that you're paying for someone else's livelihood. and then you fail and they lose their job, like they can't put it on.
And so I'm a little bit starving, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're literally contributing to poverty, like, you know, but it's big, so it's an epidemic. It's like I said, right?
I appreciate you stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna head out, so I'm going on vacation, so.
That's fine.
Drive home, hopefully not get traffic. It's been a weird day.
Your name has been a weird day.
Now that I have a whole audience of the talk about this, a ball fell out of the sky today and got stuck in between my eyeball and my sunglasses. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm in the middle of what's it called? Not market. Yeah, market. I was crossing market. And I have bug guts on the inside of my sunglasses. So guys, your mom, your mom is upstairs. I met her this morning. Nice to meet you.
You know, she said that she's calling ETO. She's filling it.
She said I'm 10, and I was like, I wish not.
I know. She likes it.
Oh,
So nice. Like, something's a little fun up there. That's nice, huh?
Hey, I'm good. Their base is saying, you're gonna. We can go wherever. So I honestly don't know if there's something in here or, well, they're gonna set up her team meeting and everything. So like we can go, okay, we can take the elevator. Oh, did you say you're on crutches? Oh no! Not fun. Not fun at all. Sorry, I was giving my admin stuff today. Do you have your, I mean, you're not, but you have your. I'm operations. I have 2 full-time virtual assistants. Okay. Plus a runner, plus a marketing intern, a showing agent. So are in the business, do high-end client care, make sure.
Do you start
It's functional. No, I started as director of ops. Because I also had executive assistants, but she's like, I need someone that's operations brained.
Yes.
And then across my first year, I just took over, which is now to the point where, like, after the first year running, first full year with her, her GCI went up 250K. It's part of her, like, the classes she teaches.
Yeah.
So I did not run that stat. She ran that stat. And I'm like, ooh, I gotta convince other people to get the class. And then, once that happened, she's like, you can just run the business meetings. I don't
Do you feel like there's
want
a
to run them.
then EAs and director of ops?
There is a difference.
Because
There's different like
similar
expectations.
things, so.
They do similar, but you have to earn the title director of ops.
That's a lot, because